Hi, I'm Alice and I work for the Biodiversity Conservation Trust. One of our roles is to help you, our landholders, to protect and enhance the biodiversity on your properties. This includes devising strategies to control and manage existing weed outbreaks while promoting resilience against future outbreaks.
Integrated weed management is an approach to managing weeds using multiple control tactics, and it aims to provide long-term protection against weeds. It includes physical and chemical methods of removing weeds and utilises the natural defences of existing native vegetation. The first step of any integrated weed management strategy is to understand where on your property direct intervention in the form of physical or chemical weed control is appropriate. To do this, we need to first identify where ecological controls already exist. These are a natural line of defence against weeds, when native species provide resilience against disturbance and weed invasion. Broadly speaking, areas of high resilience are those with a good range of native species, complex structure, and little to no bare ground, providing physical barriers to weed spread and a range of native species to outcompete weeds. These areas have well-established ecological controls and would respond well to small disturbances from weed control work, if needed at all. Areas of moderate resilience typically include a mix of native and exotic species and a more simplified structure as a result of prior disturbance. They are more susceptible to weed outbreaks, but would still provide some level of ecological control against weeds. Importantly, these areas may be in transition. They may be improving in condition as native trees and shrubs regenerate, or degrading as invasive species take hold. If it's the latter, these areas should be prioritised for weed control to prevent further deterioration, working in and expanding out from areas of high resilience. Areas of poor resilience are mainly exotic, lacking native vegetation and highly susceptible to ongoing weed issues if control methods were implemented. These areas would need strategic and ongoing weed control work as part of a succession plan for the area, and may require introduction of native species via planting or direct seeding to succeed in the long term.
By first identifying where your ecological controls are on your property, you can then tailor your integrated strategy for the site.
By doing this, you can protect and monitor areas already in good or improving condition, target weed control and build resilience in susceptible areas, and develop a longer-term plan for areas already in poor condition. Physical control of weeds can come in a variety of forms, the most direct being manual or mechanical removal. This can be an effective but labour-intensive option, resulting in disturbance to the existing vegetation and leaving bare ground that then needs to be occupied by native vegetation. It's important to note that in some circumstances, weeds can provide valuable ecosystem services, including fauna habitat and soil stability, particularly where very little native vegetation remains. This means that disturbance through weed removal can sometimes have negative impacts on biodiversity if not carried out in small increments and with a succession plan in mind. In specific circumstances, grazing at particular times of the year can be an effective tool to remove highly palatable weed species, while incorporating an ecological fire regime can suit native species over exotics. To see how grazing or fire may be relevant for your conservation area, contact your local BCT staff for more information. Chemical control of weeds to promote biodiversity can be more suitable in that it allows for treated weeds to naturally break down where they lie. This can allow for a gradual replacement of weeds with native species. The dead or dying weeds can continue to provide structural habitat and ground cover, whilst young native plants colonise and develop in their place. However, chemicals do require careful consideration and application, particularly in areas where there is surrounding native vegetation and the risk of collateral damage is high. There are some great resources that you can use to help guide you in the appropriate use of herbicides, including the New South Wales Weed Control Handbook. Finally, it's important to note that any weed management strategy needs to be built upon a good culture of land management hygiene. Cleaning equipment and vehicles following contact with weeds is a simple but essential form of weed management control. Joining a local bush care group and seeking advice from local land services can provide further information and understanding of weed ecology and how to best minimise potential for weed outbreaks on your property into the future.
All these aspects of weed control help to form an integrated weed management strategy for your property. At the BCT, we're here to help with support and guidance, so please get in touch if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.